I feel like a lot of people rate the Bling rig more highly than I do. I thought it was alright, pretty decent film, worth a watch once, but not something I'd watch again. Having said that, the scores on IMDb are unusual. It's got 5.6 out of 10, which is kind of alright. You know, a good film will get 6 and above. A 5.6 is, pretty mediocre. Oddly though, it has a Metascore of 66, which is pretty high for a Metascore. And it's rare that a film would get a rating higher for a Metascore than IMDb. So the reaction to this is unexpected. This was released in 2013. It actually feels older than that, and is directed and written by Sofia Coppola, and stars Katie Chang and Israel Broussard, and the reason that I watched it, Emma Watson. And the description does sound interesting. I have to point out this is based on a true story. A group of fame-obsessed teenagers use the internet to track celebrities' whereabouts in order to rob their homes. Now that sounds fascinating. The fact that it's based on, truth is interesting, and the real individuals behind these characters is definitely worth looking up their stories and seeing who they were as people, and how they were punished and what happened. In the film, I'd say it's pretty true to the story. Obviously, creative license here and there. But in terms of the actual characters, I thought they were all pretty boring. Not massively well developed, not very interesting. And the acting was alright, but even then it wasn't anything particularly exciting or brilliant, or, nothing made me sit up and go, wow, that's fantastic. And that's pretty much true for the whole thing. The narrative doesn't progress at the best of paces. It's alright. The scenes that I liked the most were when they were in these houses and we got to see these kind of lavish properties and, closets full of things. And I really enjoyed those bits because, well, who doesn't? But the rest of it, when they were planning things, or I didn't really see any interest in it. There was nothing about that gripped me. So when they were actually in these homes, yes, enjoyable, interesting. But around that, it was kind of like everything else was just padding to get to those places. I guess as it raced towards the end, I say raced, it was quite slow. As it crawled towards the end, I was curious to see how it concluded. Because at the time of watching it, I knew it was based on a true story, but I didn't know really anything about the truth. So I didn't know how this was going to end. So it was, it had its moments. Towards the end, I thought, yes, I am interested in seeing how this concludes. I wasn't completely bored. You could, in theory, read a lot into this about how the internet's a bad thing sometimes, and how it's easy to, find people's locations and find out information you really shouldn't have. But it's not dark enough for that. It's rated 15. I don't understand why. There will be a reason for it. But for me, it's nothing, it's a crime, but it's not very dark. It's a drama, but it's not very dramatic. And obviously it's a biography, and that speaks for itself. If it sounds like something you would watch, if you've read the description and think, actually, I might like that, then yes, give it a go. But if you're not really bothered, then I would say don't bother. It's definitely not one of those films where it's better than it sounds. So I think, weirdly, even though it's a 15, I think I suppose it is for a teenage audience. In my mind, it's got that kind of young adult feeling to it. But the rating suggests 15 and up. It has its moments. If you've got a reason that you want to watch, I'd say definitely give it a go. You might like it. But I wouldn't make it the next film you watch.